The first thing I noticed was her smile. Not because it was different, but because it wasn't. It was exactly the same. Too exact. Same dimples. Same little twitch at the corner when she was trying not to laugh. Same warm, familiar way she tilted her head, but something about it made my spine stiffen. Sarah had been gone for 6 months, buried after the accident, the icy road, the overturned car, the funeral with the closed casket because her body was too broken. I grieved. I mourned. I accepted. Or at least I tried to. Until one rainy evening I came home from work, and she was standing in the kitchen. "Hi, love," she said, stirring a pot of soup like nothing had happened. I didn't scream. Didn't faint. I just stood there frozen, while the scent of rosemary and potatoes wafted through the air. "Sarah?" I whispered. She turned. Smiled again. Of course it's me, silly. Who else would it be? She was wearing her favorite sweater, the one I had donated to Goodwill 3 months ago. Her wedding ring glinted on her hand, buried with her, and yet here she was. Real, tangible, smiling. The same smile, too perfect, too wrong. She slipped back into life like she'd never left. She remembered everything. Our wedding song, the name of the stray cat we fed last winter, the way I liked my eggs. She even joked about the broken floorboard in the hallway I kept promising to fix. She kissed me the same way, touched my face like she always had, but her skin felt colder. Her heartbeat, when I lay my head on her chest, was faint, off rhythm, like it wasn't sure which beat to follow. Our friends were shocked. Her sister fainted. Her mother refused to speak to her, said it was blasphemy, said I should leave town, burn everything and never look back. The media called it a hoax. Some said I had never buried her, that it was all a delusion, that maybe I was the one who had gone mad. But when I looked into her eyes, I saw Sarah. My Sarah, didn't I? I asked her where she'd been. She said she didn't remember. "It's all foggy," she murmured, like I was asleep in cold water. And then I woke up. And here I am. She laughed nervously. I laughed too, because the alternative, the truth clawing at the edge of my thoughts, was too terrible to face. The first time I noticed the mirror thing was in the hallway. She was brushing her hair in front of it. Only, she wasn't. She moved. The reflection didn't. I stared, heart thudding. Blinked. When I looked again, everything was normal. Her arm lifted, brush gliding through her curls. But I knew what I saw. The second time I tested it. I stood behind her, watching carefully. I smiled. She smiled. I raised my hand. She raised hers. But in the mirror, her eyes were watching me, not the reflection of me, as if she knew I was testing her. "Something wrong?" she asked. "No," I said, forcing a smile. That night, I checked old photos, wedding albums, holiday shots. I could swear the smiles in those photos used to feel warmer. Now they seemed posed, almost like duplicates of the one she wore now. Same angle, same teeth, too perfect. One night, I found her talking to herself, in the attic. But there was no light on, no phone, no movement. Just her voice whispering in a language I didn't know. I backed away, didn't confront her. I was afraid of the answer. I started dreaming of water. Cold, dark water, and something pressing against the other side of a mirror. A handprint. A scream I couldn't hear, and when I woke, she'd be there beside me, watching me sleep. It happened on a Thursday. The air was colder than usual for spring. The lake, always still, had begun to ripple without wind, small concentric circles spreading across the surface like breath exhaled from something deep below. I hadn't slept in 2 days. That morning I found Sarah, or whatever wore her skin, standing in the garden barefoot, staring at the ground, her head tilted, her arms hanging uselessly at her sides. "Something's wrong," she said softly. She looked up at me, and for a moment, her eyes were no longer hers. They were all black, like 2 bottomless holes. Then she blinked, and they were green again. "Honey," she said, "I think I'm sick." I nodded, smiled like a puppet, told her I'd make her tea. Instead, I went down to the lake. The water greeted me with silence. Trees bent gently overhead, filtering light through trembling leaves. This is where I buried her ashes. After the accident, the real Sarah. I stood at the edge and whispered her name, just once. The lake didn't respond, but the air shifted, thickened. Took the old mirror with me, the one she couldn't reflect in. I held it out over the water, and the water responded. Ripples surged outward like something had stirred beneath. Something enormous. Something ancient. Then I saw her. Not the one in my house. The real one. Beneath the surface. Her face bloated. Eyes pale. Mouth open in silent, mournful agony. Fingers stretched toward the surface, tangled in strands of weed. She was trying to come up, trying to warn me. But something pulled her back. When I returned home, she was waiting, in the hallway. By the stairs, she didn't speak. She simply held up one of my shirts, wet, covered in mud and small specks of ash. "You went to the lake," she said. Not a question. I didn't deny it. She walked toward me, slow and deliberate. "I told you not to go back." I met her gaze. Calm, even. "You're not Sarah." For a moment, her face dropped. Then she smiled again, wide, unnatural. "I never said I was." That night, I didn't sleep. I sat on the couch, staring at the mirror I had placed in the living room. She paced around me, restless. At 3:03 a.m., she stopped in front of the mirror. Her reflection still didn't appear. Instead, Sarah's real reflection did. Inside the mirror, trapped, screaming silently. My wife, reaching for me, her hands pounding the glass. The thing beside me turned to face me. "You see her?" it asked. "Yes." "You still miss her?" "I love her." She should have let go, but she clung too hard to your love. She opened something she didn't understand. And now, she's in there, and I'm out here. Then she stepped into the mirror, just like that, and the real Sarah appeared, alone now, beneath the surface of that other place. The mirror cracked. Just once cleanly, and silence fell over everything. It's been 3 weeks. The days pass in a dreamlike haze. I still make coffee for 2, but she's not here. Not really. Yet. I feel watched. Gently. Constantly. I've sealed off the attic. Mirrors keep cracking on their own. The therapist says I should get away, but he didn't see her reflection in my phone screen. He didn't hear her whisper my name while the signal cut out. Some nights I return to the lake. I stand at the edge. Sometimes I call her name and sometimes the water answers. I want to believe it's her. But love, I'm realizing, can bind too tightly. I keep the mirror in the basement now, covered in black velvet. Still, I hear her, scratching, weeping, humming. Once, I heard her say, "He still doesn't know, does he?" I don't know who she meant. Not anymore. Some nights just before I fall asleep, I feel a hand touch mine. Cold. Wet. Familiar. Too familiar. And I wonder how long until the mirrors all break. Until she's fully here. They say mirrors only show you what's there, but I've learned something else. Sometimes they show you what wants to come back. Sometimes they show you what never left. I walk past them now without looking, because I'm afraid of what I might see. Not her. Not anymore. But the version of me that stayed behind, trapped with her, smiling with her, rotting with her. While I walk this house in borrowed skin, wearing his voice, using his memories, pretending to be the man she loved, because in the end, I'm not her husband anymore.